system of Joe Lhota in moving trains out of there to higher ground. I don't think there was any damage done to the rolling stock, but the tunnels all flooded, and that's going to be a big problem to get them back going. Public transportation remains closed until further notice is a good way to think about it. There is no firm timeline for the reactivation of bus or train service, but I'm sure the MTA will do everything it can to have limited bus service, perhaps this afternoon, and hopefully we'll be able to announce, or Joe Lhota will be able to announce, restoration of most bus service by tomorrow. We certainly think the roads by tomorrow will be clear and free of water. All major airports serving the metro area are closed today. Runways are flooded, and there are no flights leaving or arriving. How much damage was done to the navigation equipment and lighting around them, we don't know yet. To help people get around, I've signed an executive order that permits cab drivers to pick up multiple passengers, even if a passenger is already in the cab. It will also allow livery and black cars to pick up passengers off the street anywhere in the city.
All right, we've just been hearing from the New York mayor, who's pretty much been got a lot of praise today for being at the forefront of the evacuation efforts, getting the whole city prepared for the hurricane. Is that also sort of possible to do in a first world situation rather than here have one person in a sense coordinating from the front? Here are we sort of more having to deal with multiple agencies, perhaps no clear chain of command like that? Pallab, if you would like to take that question.
No, there is a clear chain of command. There is the National Disaster Management Authority.
And I think we would like to actually hear from Shashi Tharoor on this also, and I'll come back to you, Pallab. Mr. Reddy, do you believe that, the role that's being played by the New York mayor at this point, in a sense, could be replicated also over here? Who would that one point person be in a moment of crisis like this?
See, in India we have started introducing the incident response system, which is actually based on the incident command system that has been followed in the United States, but adapted to the Indian administrative setup. But going back to the earlier discussion on the response that we've been able to give in the past, I can recall with a great amount of satisfaction that going back as far back as 1990, we had evacuated 6.5 lakh people, 650,000 people plus were evacuated in the wake of a cyclone which hit the coast of Andhra Pradesh. And that was till date the highest, biggest ever evacuation in human history. Subsequently, it was the Hurricane Rita, post-Katrina. Of course, Katrina was a big, Katrina was a disaster, and the manner in which Katrina was handled left a lot of questions about, why things went wrong there. But then post-Katrina, we had about 1 million people evacuated for Hurricane Rita. But evacuation in the context of the United States is a much different ball game. People do it on their own. They use their own modes of transport and leave sufficiently in advance. Yes, in India we have problems. People have to be motivated. They're concerned about the safety of their belongings, their homes, which they have to leave behind. But still, our governments have been able to manage large-scale evacuations and restrict the loss of life to a very significant extent. And as far as capability of technological thing, Pallab just talked about the capability that we have, and I'm also very happy to mention here that we are acquiring greater capability. As of today, we have land-based, ocean-based and space-based observations, and very soon India will have the capability of an aircraft probing facility which can fly into the into the eye of a storm, right into the cyclone, and on the basis of the parameters that can be transmitted from there, we can bring down errors very significantly. And I think in the next few years, even technologically, we'll be probably among the best in the world.
All right, technology is among the best in the world.
I think technology is one input. I think it's excellent that we are increasing and improving our technological capabilities. But ultimately, if we take the Mayor Bloomberg example, it really depends on the trust that the local communities, in this case the citizens of New York, have with their local representative, local leader. And when we talk about our coastal affected populations, again, that chain of command, it does not have to be sitting in Delhi or even in the state capital. It's how much trust the people have in the information that's coming from the local representatives.
I think information is like a critical part of this entire debate. Do you believe that enough information filters down, you know, in those sort of crucial minutes that you have sometimes before a natural disaster strikes?
Well, Ankita, you and I play an important role in getting the information out. Whenever there is a tsunami warning, we have played that critical role of getting that information out. And remember, India has done well in getting the technology in place to forecast storm surges. Even in Neelam, the storm surge forecast is available. For tsunamis, we have a far more robust system than anywhere in the world to forecast tsunamis and have the landfall of cyclones predicted. These are very tremendous developments which have happened. End of the day, it all falls on the district collector or the district magistrate to implement how he will evacuate people from the beaches. So every time we go on air, we have said, please go to the higher ground. This is an alert, this is whatever level of emergency, but move to higher ground. People do it on their own. You can't move lakhs and lakhs of people on buses or trucks. People have to depend on their own ways of getting out of the danger area.
All right, I'd like to bring in my colleague Sam Daniel, who's been reporting on the advent of Cyclone Neelam. He's been tracking all those developments. Sam, you know, coming at this point, schools and colleges, of course, have been shut today. But in terms of evacuation from coastal areas, in terms of information reaching those who need it at this point, how do you believe the administration has fared? What is it that you're hearing on the ground there?
I think in terms of information, there's no problem. Even people who live in small huts, they have a television. The government has given them free television in Tamil Nadu, so that is not a problem. But there is always a reluctance on the part of the people to leave their homes and come to a cyclone shelter or a relief center, because many believe they may lose their property. Many live in enclosed areas and they also are quite scared that somebody will occupy their property. And in Chennai, for instance, Ankita, we have around 200 schools under the city corporation which will be used as relief centers. In fact, I am at a community kitchen in Chennai. We have 4 kitchens like this, and each of these huge boilers can prepare food for 750 people. This particular setup can prepare food for 1,500 people. And as of now, since there's not much of evacuation, although we have 200 schools, not a single person has come to these centers. So authorities have their system ready here. Tomorrow, if there's a heavy downpour, if people decide to come to these relief centers, then the mechanism is ready to prepare food for these people so that they will have a roof over their head to spend their days safely, and also to prepare food for them. In Chennai, you have around 200 schools ready. You have around hundreds of boats in various low-lying areas to move people to higher grounds if those areas are inundated. Also, officials say they work in teams with other departments so that they'll be able to clear fallen trees, they'll be able to restore power supply quickly, they'll be able to send food supplies to various areas. 4 districts could be very badly affected. One is Chennai, another one is Kadalur, another one is Nagapattinam, and then the adjoining Union Territory of Pondicherry. We spoke to the collectors. They say they have their cyclone relief shelters ready. They have generators in place, they have boats in place, and also they have control rooms so that they'll be able to coordinate much better. Officials say they act very quick. They have just 24 hours to 48 hours to put things in place, but they say they have an experienced team of people who do things swiftly. All the public have to do is listen to them, to the warnings, and abide by that so that they'll be able to be safe till the cyclone crosses. As of now, nobody has been evacuated.
Okay, thanks.
They believe tomorrow people could start coming to these places.
Okay, thanks very much for that update, Sam. Pallav, you had a point to...
Yes. See, Tamil Nadu is a very forward-looking, progressive state. Okay. Now, let's go back and look at our response which happened when the floods happened in Bombay. In one day, there was a deluge and Bombay went down. That kind of effort was not seen in Bombay. It is after that we woke up to several issues on disaster management. So, these responses vary from state to state. They vary from district to district. we need to sensitize people. When there is a disaster or an imminent disaster, please listen to authorities. Listen very carefully. If they say evacuate, then need to evacuate. It will take a while for people in India to understand that there is a certain level of danger which affects us.
I'd like to introduce a new point in now. We're hearing reports, of course, that the nuclear plants in the path of the cyclone Sandy have not been affected in a sense. But does that kind of raise questions again, once again, about the nuclear plant here, the one in Kudankulam, that's already been, at the center of so much controversy, really, in the event of a very big storm or some other sort of natural disaster? Would that be a point of concern?
Well, India didn't consider tsunamis as a danger till the 2004 tsunami came and struck the Indian coast. The Indian nuclear plants weren't very well prepared for that. The Madras Atomic Power Station, one of the units, the intake valve got affected. But subsequently, our warning system has improved. And as far as Kudankulam goes, I am told by the Department of Atomic Energy that the highest storm surge seen for tsunamis in that area, the plant is higher than that. And then you have, in the same fashion as the American plants, the whole thing becomes a watertight compartment.
Right.
And you won't face a Fukushima type of accident there because there is a passive cooling system involved there.
Shashi Tharoor, do come in on this point as well. Fears about a possible nuclear disaster compounding a natural disaster in a sense. What role does your organization, in a sense, have to play in a situation like this?
See, when in 2004, when we had the tsunami hitting the east coast of India, and when we looked at Kalpakam, except for that minor incident, there was nothing that really caused any concern. In fact, 25 people died, people who are working in the Kalpakam atomic power plant. But it's not due to anything that went wrong in the plant, but it was just like any other people who died along the east coast because of tsunami. But then, last year, after the Fukushima experience, the Honorable Prime Minister, who is also the Chairman of the National Disaster Management Authority, chaired a special meeting of the authority, and then he wanted us to look at all these possibilities. Of course, in India, our plants are designed to withstand, all kinds of stringent safety measures are incorporated into designing them, and I'm sure that with the kind of technology that is being used and taking into account and learning from experiences elsewhere, every experience is a learning experience for us, and I'm absolutely sure and certain that nothing can go wrong because of these weather-related disasters that have been
We're hearing a great deal of optimism from the National Disaster Management Authority Chief. Arnaba, you agree?
Well, in some ways I agree, and in other ways my concern is not just about nuclear power plants, but our entire infrastructure along the coast. We need to factor in not just what's happened in the past, but what's going to happen in the future. The intensity of certain types of natural disasters is expected to increase. The IPCC thinks that it's very likely that sea level rise owing to climate change will increase the extremities of these natural events. Now, what does that mean? Whether it's a nuclear power plant or a coal power plant or a port, we are increasing in our vulnerability. And we need to think about whether we are preparing for a once in a 25-year horizon, or once in a 3-year horizon, or a once in a 10-year horizon.
Well, I think we'll leave it tonight with that thought. I'd like to thank all my panelists for joining us tonight. That's it then on Left, Right and Center. Do stay tuned though. India Decides at 9 is up.